Okay, today we are working on 8.1 day 2, so it's more practice of what we did on 8.1 day 1. Your problem of the day is a little different today. We have a line and we have to figure out and write the equation. So to write an equation, you first have to start off with what is the equation. Slope-intercept form is write an equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is always y equals mx plus b. M is slope, and b is y-intercept. So I always like to start with the y-intercept. So we're making spaces for this one and this one. So we have y equals something, x, and something. So I'm going to find the y-intercept first. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. This is the y-axis. I got to find what number does that line cross now the orange highlighted line. I see there's a dot right here, and it hits the orange line perfectly, and it is 5. So my y-intercept is also a positive 5 because we are above the x-axis, and there's no negative. There's the negatives down here, so these are positive numbers. So it's going to be a positive 5, so plus 5. So we got the y-intercept. Now we are going to find the slope of this line. So how you find the slope is you pick a spot. I'm going to pick the one that we found on the y-axis. I'm going to pick this spot, and I'm going to see how far I have to go to get to this dot. Now, to find the dots, you can't just pick anywhere. You don't want to pick a spot right here because it's not perfectly within. We like to call the crosshairs. Crosshairs, for example, you play any shooter games. It has a plus sign right in the middle, and then this is where you shoot. That is where the dot. That's the only dots you can pick. They have to be on a crosshair or an intersection, right in the middle there. So I can't go here. I can't go here. Here. I have to go to this other dot. So now I have to use what's called rise over run. Rise over run to make my slope, because slope looks like a fraction. We like it in a form of fraction. So rise just means up or down. So from this dot to this dot, do I have to go up or do I have to go down? It looks to me like I have to go down to get there. So I have to go down 1 space, 2 spaces. So the top part of my fraction is a 2. Now I have to see how far I have to run, which means left or right or left. Which way do I have to go? So to get to my dot. So from here, do I have to go left? No. Or do I have to go right? Oh, look, I made a right on the dot. I'm going to go right 1 space. So under my 2 is going to be a 1. So this is your final answer. You could simplify this by just putting a 2. You don't have to have a 1. Either answer is correct, but this is our final equation. All right, that was your problem of the day. Here is an example of the instructions are gone, but this is what we were doing yesterday. In the first part of 8.1 is more practice. We are solving systems of equations by graphing. So I have to graph these 2 lines, and then I have to say what the ordered pair is for their intersection. So I'm going to start with the first equation, and the steps tell me I have to graph the y-intercept first. Step 1 says graph the y-intercept first. Okay, so the y-intercept, remember, y equals mx plus b. This is the y-intercept. This is the slope. Alright, so the y-intercept is that number that does not have an x on it. So I'm going to graph this positive 2 on the y-axis. The y-intercept belongs on the y-axis because it's where the y intercepts, like captures the line. So the line touches the y-axis at positive 2, not negative 2. A lot of kids like to put the 2 over here. That is a positive 2, but this is the x-axis. The y-intercept does not belong on the x-axis. It belongs on the y-axis. So we have positive 2. Next, graph the slope for the first equation. We have negative 1/2. Negative 1/2. So since it's a fraction, you could just pick one of these numbers to be negative, either negative 1 or negative 2. I'm going to pick negative 1. The reason you can pick one or the other is because in a fraction is division. If I were to divide 1 by 2, I'd get 0.5. When you divide, if I divide 1 by 2 and they were both negative, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this is not, that would not be correct because this is a negative number. So one of these numbers has to be negative because a negative divided by a positive is still negative. So either one of these numbers can be negative, but not both. So I'm going to pick the first one. And remember, we need rise over run. And rise just tells me to go up or down. Negative numbers, so I said I was going to pick the one. My one is negative. If negative numbers tell me to go down. So I'm going to go down 1. And then that 2 is positive now. So 2 is going to go in the positive direction. These are positive numbers on the x. These are negative numbers on the x. So I'm going to go to the right. Go down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. 1, 2. Put a dot. Down 1, right 1, 2. There we go. We got a dot. If you're working on Nearpod or on your homework, it is hard to draw lines. So don't stress out. What would be helpful for you is to keep drawing dots. So I'm going to go down 1 again. 1, 2. Down 1 again. 1, 2. Down 1, over 2. And then I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to try to continue this line. So instead of going down 1 and over 2, I am now going to go up 1, left 2. You go backwards. Do the opposite. Up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. So if you keep drawing, you can see a line there with just dots. So then you can avoid drawing squiggly lines on Nearpod or on Teams on your homework. And now you just use a different color and we're going to graph the other equation. Okay? And then we'll see where the dots connect. Alright, so now I'm going to repeat both steps for the second equation. So I'm going to graph the y-intercept, and that's my number without a variable. Negative 5. So we're going to go down. Remember, y-intercept goes on the y-axis. I'm going to go down to 5. Here's 4, 5. Then I'm going to graph the slope. The slope is 3. Any number can turn into a fraction by putting it over 1. So now I have 3 over 1. Rise tells me to go up or down. It's a positive 3, so it's telling me to go up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then I have a positive 1. It's going to tell me to go to the right. Right 1 and put a dot right there. And I'm going to keep repeating that. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. Right 1. Oh, look, we hit a dot. I'm going to keep going. 1, 2, 3. Over 1. 1, 2, 3. Over 1. And I'll go backwards 1. Down 3. 1, 2, 3. And over 1. So now I have a line here. I have a line here that you can see with dots. And then I found where our two dots collide. And now for my final answer, we got to identify where the lines intersect. We said they intersect here. But then you got to tell me where here is. So I need an ordered pair. Ordered pairs have parentheses and a comma in the middle. So, and this is X. This is Y. To identify an ordered pair, you need to start at 0. From 0, you need to tell me how many spaces or units it took you to get to the dot. So we're going to start with the X, which means I have to go on the X axis. From 0, how many spaces does it take me to get to, like lined up with that dot? It takes me 1, 2 spaces on the X axis to get me to that, lined up with that dot. Next, I gotta go see, we gotta do the Y, so that tells me to go up and down. How many spaces does it take me to go up to that dot? Up means positive, and I only went 1 space, so my answer is 2, 1, final answer. That is all. Let me know if you have questions. Okay, bye.